You've mentioned before about moving away from eating animal products. What is the reason behind that?
Right. So the master teacher hasn't written a specific book on diet or like what we should or shouldn't eat because most people are not disciplined enough when it comes to diet. So he's basically said to us, don't eat anything with parents. Our bodies are not necessarily designed to eat animals. Even though people call animals meat, that's something that was concocted. Because when you read even the Bible, the first time you come across the word meat, it's saying that you should use the herbs, the vegetation for meat. You see, so there was no animal called meat. What people have done is taken animals, pigs, cows, chickens, and then unalive them and call them meat. You see, and then another trick is that the Old Testament and the New Testament are two different books in the sense that things that you couldn't do in the Old Testament, when they came up with the New Testament, they started to say you can do it now. But it's a contradiction because in the Old Testament, it literally says not one jot or tittle can be changed, right? So when Jesus came, according to the book, he said he didn't come to change the law, but to fulfill it. So you can't change the laws and have a renewed testament because that's what people do. They claim that, well, what was in the Old Testament is no longer applicable to the New Testament. Now, when you leave the religious world and go into it scientifically, you start to look at the reasons why people consume meat. It's because the gods of the Bible, who are really extraterrestrials, some of these extraterrestrials actually love blood meat. This is why, if you read the books of Leviticus, you read throughout the Bible, they're asking you to sacrifice animals. They're spilling blood all over the altars, and this is all to appease these. They call them gods, but they're really extraterrestrials, and they're bloodthirsty, flesh-eating draconian beings or reptilians, and they align with the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki, the main characters that people are familiar with are the two sons of Anu, Enlil and Enki. So this is why in the Bible it's very confusing because one will say you can do something, and then in another instance, someone else will say you can't do it. So that's the religious context. But in the scientific world, we didn't have canine. Our bodies are not designed to break down flesh. Even when you look at what they're putting into the animals to grow them so that they can be consumed, there's a lot of chemicals that are not good for you. So, they put a lot of acidic things in the animals, and this causes like arthritis, a lot of things to do with like what's that? Dementia, Alzheimer's. There've been scientific studies that show that it relates to the consumption of meat. Many people over the years have come to the conclusion of they stop eating red meat and then they kind of work their way to coming off eating flesh completely. So they will go from red meat to maybe white meat, like chicken, turkey, or fish, and then eventually they'll wean themselves off. And many, such as myself and others, will eat more plant-based foods. Yeah, so if you look at it, the uric acid in the meats is not good for you, as I said, because it gives you arthritis. Your digestive system is not designed to eat it. Another reason that people who consume meat, apart from it's immoral to kill animals anyway, just for the sake of eating them, people will say, well, you won't get enough protein. But the protein that they're getting from the animals is actually secondhand because it's the protein that the animals have got from eating vegetation that you're getting. And then you look at the biggest mammals, because sports people or people that train, they will say, oh, I need muscles, and without eating or getting protein, I'm not going to have muscles. But then you look at the biggest mammals on the planet, such as elephants, they're vegetarians. You see, so it's a lot of misinformation why people still consume blood meat and flesh, because it's not really good for you anyway. So yeah, we do also know that we're not here to dictate to people what to eat or what not to eat. Everyone's going to make their own choice. But yeah, many people realize the health benefits that you get from, stopping consuming, meat and animals.
Awesome. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for that.
no
Yeah,
problem.
because I was going to say a lot of people tend to reference the Bible
Yeah,
to not eat meat with the Genesis 129, and then other people say, but in this section, but you covered it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's like, it doesn't, there was no animal called meat. You see, this is the trick, because they changed the word to meat, which was referring. You can just read it. We're in a day and time where you have smartphones, you have, AI. You can Google things and just research, and it will literally tell you that, the word was for vegetation and not for animals. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
No
Thank you very
problem.
much. Okay, so the Essenes, are they a real group, and do they also talk about the practice of not consuming animal
Yeah,
products?
absolutely. You see, again, when people are reading the books that they call in the Bible and the Quran and these religious books today, it's a known fact that these books were compiled and many books were left out. So, with finding more tablets and more scriptures, a lot of the tablets from the group you're referring to as the Essenes were found. They refer to them as the Qumran tablets. Yeah. Now, every religion has a serious spiritual aspect to it. So in Islam, that would be like the Sufi order, would be the equivalent of like the Essenes, where Jesus, John the Baptist, and certain people who were very strict on their diet. Like, they tell you that John the Baptist used to consume locusts and honey, and used to basically go in the wilderness and like just basically meditate and seclude himself. Those were Essene practices. And one of the things that they did was Mary Magdalene, obviously, who was Magdala pronunciation. He Jesus's wife, that is, was also a part of that. And one of the things they were doing is concealing that, because in order to be you were in that Essene group, you weren't really supposed to be marrying and having, a wife, because they lived very strict lives. But he did, so that was something that, again, they kept that secret for. But yeah, so the Sufi orders, or the spiritual aspects of religion, most of those, they practice strict, even like the Rastafarians, like the serious ones that, you know what I mean, that are in the mountains, they don't eat flesh. So when you look at every spiritual, even like when you go into Hinduism, they obviously look at the cow as being sacred. Buddhism, they all know about, like, when you're dealing with serious spirituality, yeah, they don't consume meat, because you're going to be. Another thing that we teach as in Wu Sabat, especially from the master teacher, is that in order for you to elevate to the higher realms and vibrations, you can't really have animals within your system, because animals can only vibrate to a certain level in terms of ether, to the sixth ether. So if you're consuming animals, or if you are part of, your genetics is part of animals, then you're not going to be able to go to those higher realms. Yeah, so it's important to clean yourself inside out. And Dr. Sebi and most people that are known for being highly educated in terms of nutrition, again, he explained about acidic versus, having an alkaline diet. So again, meat's acidic. It's not really the best thing for your health. Yeah, but people do it because of programming, because they've grown into a family. Even young people, I remember even when I was a child, most children, when you put meat in their plate, they don't eat it. It's only after the parents continuously give it to them, then they adapt. But most children, they automatically don't really like meat. Or should I say flesh? You see, I've even keep saying meat because they've programmed it into our head to call animals meat, but they're animals and they're alive and the spirits and the blood. So when you consume that, a lot of the times you're transferring the energy from the animal into yourself. And if that animal has gone through any trauma or anything like that during when it was being on alive, that's transferred to you. And a lot of time people will have dreams or nightmares and they're reliving or experiencing the memories from the animals, but not realizing it. Yeah. So there is a lot to it. It's not as simple as people think. It's like you hear the term, you are what you eat.
Yeah.
So a lot of people also by way of like Islam, and they say don't eat the pig because we know the pig was actually genetically made from a rat, a cat, and a dog because it was like an ancient hoover, by, Zosa and Imhotep. These are, beings from ancient Egypt who they developed that to give to Abraham to go and clean up the filth in the Caucasus Mountains because the pig will eat anything and it regurgitate its, it eats things, it chews the curd, as they say. And what happened is that people will say they're not eating the pig, they say it's haram, but then they make products from the pig, like toothbrushes, mascara, lip gloss. So many products are made from the remains of the pig, the skin. They literally use every part of the pig in other products. So even though you might be saying, I don't consume or don't eat the pig, because it also has these worms that cannot really be eliminated from your system. They can withstand extreme heat. I think it's the chocrus, if I'm pronouncing it properly, worm. And so you might say you're not eating the pig, but then you're brushing your teeth using the bristles that are made from the pig, or you're putting creams or lip gloss or mascara on your face, which is made from the pig. And your face and your body is porous, meaning that you got holes and it sips in. So most people are consuming a pig every day, even though they think they're not eating it. Then people will say, oh, I only eat white meat, I only eat chicken. Chicken is worse than the pig. The chicken does exactly the same thing that the pig does. It eats anything, so, and in today's day and time, it's very dangerous because you're hearing people on social media talking about human flesh has been found in
I've heard of that.
many restaurants.
Heard of that, yeah.
I mean, again, this is just me quoting. This is entertainment and educational purposes. People have found, the saying that McDonald's has when it says something like we feed 100 and something million or billion people a day. But someone pointed out that, okay, they're saying they feed people, not feed people like we're giving and serving meals. They're literally telling you that. Of course, that's something you'll find online on social media, but it's very dangerous to eat meat today because you don't really know what you're eating. I actually watched a documentary where they were doing tests on kebab meat. The kebab meat is made up of different meats, and yeah, they found all kinds of things like human flesh in there. So yeah, it's very dangerous today to be
Nasty.
consuming even fish. I mean, some of us do wean our way off, like I said, from red meat to white meat to maybe fish, and then eventually plant-based and then vegan. But even fish, the waters are being poisoned. A lot of oil spillages. So even fish is not really that great for you to eat. So the best option is really to go vegan.
Amazing.
Yeah?
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So why would you say people struggle so much to make a change in their life whenever, they know what to do, but they're just not doing it?
It's habits, it's programming, discipline. See, the word discipline comes from the word disciple, which means to be a student.
Interesting.
Yeah, so in order for you to be disciplined, you have to be studious, study, and it's about habits, doing something, reprogramming yourself. It's also very difficult because if you want to eat the crap, you can get a bucket of chicken for like £1, £2, and most of that is fried, so all the nutrients are taken away from it. Plus, people microwave them, which is very radioactive. So it's easy to have access to eat things that are not good for you. But when you want to eat healthily, it's very expensive. It's very hard to find somewhere to eat something that is healthy like that. So people just it's a mission. Sometimes it's like when I want to find something to eat, it's literally a mission because there's nowhere around. Like you can walk on one road and you find about 100 chicken shops, but you won't find one vegan shop. So it's actually by design as well. So you have to kind of go more to the plant-based and pretty much prepare your own meals. And that way you can control what you're consuming, and you can have a budget because it's very expensive as well. They do that on purpose so that you just go for the cheaper alternatives. Yeah. Dairy products is again parts of meat because people say, I'm not a vegan, but I'm a vegetarian. But a vegetarian consumes cheese and consumes milk, which is also coming from the animals.
Yeah.
And the dairy products basically give you a lot of mucus in your body, and mucus traps metals in your body, tiny particles like ions. Like we breathe them every day because of like the chemtrails and so many pollutants around. So when you get these metals trapped in your body over a period of time, if you don't cleanse and don't like clean your colon, then those metals can become a problem because metal rusts. And this is how people end up with all kinds of problems with their major organs, but they don't realize it's consuming of meat, metals, dairy over a long period of time. Yeah. To be healthy and keep yourself healthy is actually quite simple and easy. But like you say, it goes back to the discipline. Like, not many people fast. Fasting is one of the best way to cleanse yourself. Because it kind of resets everything. So the longer you fast and using maybe sort of water to cleanse, the better it's going to be for you. But most people are trained to eat like 3 times a day. And between the 3 times, that's like breakfast, lunch, supper, and then between those gaps, they will be snacking as well. And so to stop and give your digestive process a break, it will cleanse and eliminate a lot of the these things. And most people need to do, I would say, a cleanse, at least a serious colon cleanse, at least every quarter. Yeah.
Okay.
Drink lots of water. Yeah, eat fruit and veg. Even though people
My
say,
diet, basically.
yeah, people basically say, okay, you say don't eat things with parents, but plants have parents, right? I've heard that before. But the thing is, plants were actually designed for you to consume. As I said before, it says vegetation. So a natural evolution of a plant is for you to consume it. So that's like it's achieving its purpose. So, if an apple is on a tree, its purpose is to be eaten when it's ripe and give you that nutrition. If it goes past that point and it rottens and then drops on the floor, it hasn't achieved what it was designed for. So yeah, fruit and veg is designed for us to consume for our health and well-being. So that argument's not going to wash either with people that say, plants have parents. But it's everyone's choice at the end of the day. It's like people wait till they're really sick before they try to change their lifestyle. But this should be a lifestyle that you practice every single day until you perfect it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Any more?
Yeah. What would you say is the best way to raise your vibration?
Yeah, that's a great one. Nature. You hear the song by, I think it's Alicia Keys, Concrete Jungle. most of us live in a concrete jungle. We don't ground ourselves. We don't put our feet in nature. We don't go somewhere where we're surrounded by nature. Nature's healthy. That's why it's green, and we don't get much sun in the West. So you need to go to where you can get the sun. The sun can heal you, especially as a melanite being. So the first thing is to be able to take time away from the cities, from the concrete jungles, because the vibrations and frequencies are very dense. When you go into nature, go into the park, go where there are trees, you can actually feel the vibration is different. And in addition to that, I said before, you got to consume a lot of water because of the pH value of water. Also, you can like meditate, relax. You can do things which just shut your mind down from the hustle and bustle of life. You know, everybody says, oh, we're in the rat race, so everything's fast, like fast food, drive-throughs, the food is just fried quickly. People are not using love now when they're making meals. So it's just like conveyor belt food. So you're just consuming things that are just bringing your vibration low. Of course, also the most important one is love. Yeah, everyone says, you know, love changes the world, but we're talking about divine love, where your chakra, the heart seat, is green as well, in terms of when you look at the colors, because it's in tune with nature and sentient beings. So yeah, the way to raise your vibration is to be mindful, to like eradicate what we call the mental diseases. That's ego, you know, being greedy, being angry, being selfish, all these negative things, they bring down your vibration. When you're more of when you're more of a person, excuse me, when you're more of a person that cares about humanity, cares about care about the children, care about the elders, care about the earth, the plants, you're mindful in terms of how you treat other people. You know, you're constantly doing something to be of service to humanity. That's the way to raise your vibration. Of course, you've got to study as well, because you're like a computer, and a computer only works by the applications or the programs that it has to run. And if you've been running the wrong programs, which is religion, selfishness and ego and all the, you know, like the capitalist world promotes, which is all about me, myself and I, then you got to change that programming. Got to get a new operating system and then load up all these new apps, which we call obviously scrolls. But once you have that information, then you can actually utilize it. It's not just having the information; it's what you do with it once you've actually, you know, acquired or accumulated it. Yeah. So that's Wusabat. Wusabat is the answer, because yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Is that it?
I've got one more.
Okay.
What would you say is the ultimate purpose of life?
That's a big one. Now, when you say life, a lot of the times we only think about our life form, because there's life in everything, and you know, microscopic life forms. So, but the purpose is to become one in union. This is what we are thriving to become, part of the all expanding. We say pa ut in our language, because everyone is one, but you also have the two sides. Yeah, when you're in the three-dimensional world, so you got disagreeable, or people like to say bad, and you got the agreeable, which is people like to say good, but it's really positive and negative. It's different polarities of energy, but there has to be a balance between the two. At the moment, it's imbalanced because this world is ruled by who people call the devil. So they make everything appeal to that nature within you, which is disagreeable. Yeah, because, you know, religious people tell you like you have to be good so you can go to heaven. But then you can't be good all the time. No one can be good all the time. So Wu Sabat demystifies that by letting you know that you have both natures in you. You can appeal or lean to your positive side, but there will be times where you will be tested and you may need to utilize the other part of your nature, because you're not going to be like turning the other cheek every time for someone to keep slapping you. Yeah, because it's like there's going to be a time where you may need to defend yourself or your family. Yeah, so it's about the balance and keeping disagreeable within disagreeable and keeping agreeable within agreeable, and to have a balance, and then everyone can coexist. But what's happening at the moment, people have been confused. So they may be agreeable, but they're doing disagreeable things because of the influences and the programming of, you know what I mean, these disagreeable beings are on the planet. And then people may be disagreeable, but then they're mixing with agreeable people and influencing them to do disagreeable things. So basically, Wusabat gets you to do the exorcism on yourself. So you eradicate the disagreeable parts of your nature and just focus on your agreeable. Then you will meet others and you all come together. And the more of humanity that is agreeable and positive, then six ether and the disagreeables get kind of like silenced, and they don't have as much power as they currently have. That's where we're at, where these forces are being removed because the planet itself is going through its own natural evolution and transformation. So from the year 2000 AD, we came into what most are calling the conscious or Christ conscious era, the sun cycle. And we know that to be the new 24,000 year cycle that's just begun. And that's why the master teacher is here and giving us all this information to help us elevate to become those supreme beings that we once were before the last 6,000 years of, distortion of religion and the lies that people have been under for so long. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you very much.
No
I do
worries.
have one more. Sorry.
You know what? That always happens.
One
Everyone
more,
always
yeah,
says
yeah.
one more. But go ahead.
Just to share with everyone, how many books have you read from Dr.
Oh
York
gosh.
and in general?
Yeah. Once I made a connection with Dr. York, there was no turning back. Like, I mean, I had read so many things from other people before that, but there's a connection that most people will tell you. It's like a DNA explosion. Dr. York has written over 1,000 books. That's not including the lectures on video and like the audio tapes and the actual physical lectures that people may be fortunate enough to be in. I would say, as an estimate, I've probably read about 500 books. The Holy Tablets, which is a very big book
Yeah.
that completed religion and ended the moon cycle in the year 2000. I know people that have that book and they've had it since 1995, 96, and I've not finished reading it.
Wow.
But I read that 3 times cover to cover. That's just to show you how, because there's so much information in it, you'll never get it. I mean, the amount of times you have to read it to really get a lot of it. He says, Dr. York, that whenever you read a book, because of the distractions and, you just kind of drift off and you may only retain probably about 10-20% of it. So if you read it, he recommends that we read each book like 7 times. But if you read it like, I suppose 3 times, you've got 60% of it, because every time you read it, you're going to retain another 20%.
Interesting.
So yeah, so if you want to get 100%, if you're retaining 20% each time, like read at least 5 times. And if you think about taking an exam, what would be the pass mark?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because someone will read a book once. Some people don't even read the book, or shall I say, they read the book but they don't study the book. Because the books give you references to go and research, go and check this out, go and check that out. If you're not doing that, then you're just a believer. You're just reading and believing whatever you're being told. So you have to be engaged in the process. So you have to go and really reference, study, and he referenced other books as well. So yeah, it's a very good question, because you have to take your studies seriously, because what you get here is higher than like PhD level. Like, people go to seminaries, that's, theology school or whatever, and they don't get what you can break down from reading one book. You see, so it's at a very high level of outformation that becomes information. So that's, I haven't really been asked that question, so it's a really good question. Yeah, like, and there's an art to studying. Like when you're studying, when you're reading, let me give you the difference. When you're reading, you can be like traveling on a bus or on a train or a tube or coach or whatever, and you can just read. But when you're studying, you have to prepare for that. Like the environment you're going to be in to study, like you might have to burn some incense, make sure it's quiet, drink water. Water helps you to retain memory because, you know, the cells. Yeah, so you might have a window open to get some fresh air, and you might have a tool like your computer to do some Google research, your AI, you know, so you're literally like saying I'm gonna sit down for, let's say, an hour or 2 hours, and I'm gonna study, and I need to learn something, and then you go about trying to learn that thing. It might just be I need to learn like the letters of our language, yeah, the alphabet. We say the harafat, and that's it. So at the end of your studies, you can say I've achieved that. You see, so there's a big difference to studying to just reading. You can read for leisure, you can read just to pass time, you can read for many reasons, but to study it's important. And I think for me, I had a drive because the more you learn, it's like there's more questions and more questions and more questions. So you really never stop learning. And even the, you know, religious world, they tell you like seek knowledge from cradle to grave. So you'll never stop learning. So yeah, but I think, yeah, I've read probably about 500 books of Dr. York. Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, still studying, still reading, and yeah, just that's why we say we're student teachers, because we're more of a student than we are a teacher. But the thing is, once you study or once you know something, you've got to share it with other people. So you automatically become a teacher, you see. So we're all teachers and we're all students. And that also keeps you humble because in our community, we have many people that have studied or have a lot of information. And then we just use it against each other, like to compete. Who knows more than who? And it's like, it's just like you were saying before, it just breeds divisions and competition, but we're not meant to compete with each other. We're meant to share and work together. So, yeah, it keeps you humble knowing that you don't know everything and you can learn from somebody else.